Am I the bleep bleep for reporting my mailman after his weird behavior? So, I, 32F, have been living in this quiet suburban neighborhood for about 5 years now, and for the most part, it's been peaceful. I live here with my husband, and everything's been great until recently. Now, when I say peaceful, I mean it. This neighborhood is the kind where you know your neighbors, wave to people walking their dogs, and sometimes sit out on your porch with a cup of coffee. It's the kind of place where, if you're lucky, you might catch your mailman having a quick chat with the neighbor as he delivers the mail. And for the longest time, I had no reason to worry about our mailman. Let's call him Mr. M. Mr. M is in his late 40s, early 50s. He's always been friendly, but it wasn't the good morning or the how's the day kind of friendly. He'd talk to you for minutes on end, telling you stories about his kids or how the weather's been. Honestly, at first, I thought it was just him being kind. I figured, hey, who doesn't like a friendly mailman? But then, things started to get weird. It all started a month ago, but it wasn't a single event. It was the subtle changes that built up over time. I was sitting at home working one afternoon, like usual. My office is right by the front window, so when the mailman came by, I could see him delivering the mail. Nothing out of the ordinary, until I noticed something strange. Mr. M didn't just drop the mail in the mailbox and leave, like he always had. No, he stood there. He stood there, by the mailbox, for a good minute, just flipping through the envelopes, staring at them. I thought to myself, okay, maybe he's just making sure he didn't mix up the letters, but something felt off. It wasn't like the usual quick drop and go. He lingered, as if he had all the time in the world. I brushed it off as nothing. Maybe he was just having a bad day, right? But then it happened again. The next time, I was outside watering my plants, and I saw Mr. M's truck pull up. Now, I'm always polite to him. I wave, I say hello. But this time, he slowed down even more than usual. He rolled down the window and said, "Nice day, huh?" I responded, but then he hit me with this. "Are you working from home today?" I thought it was an innocent question, but the way he said it, it felt like he was too interested in my schedule. It was the kind of question you ask when you want to know more than just a casual, "How's the weather?" But I didn't think much of it. But then the questions started, and they weren't just small talk anymore. Is your husband around? Do you ever get lonely working from home? Is this the kind of place you wanted to settle down in? I kept my answers short, but I couldn't shake the weird vibe. It felt invasive. And to make things worse, Mr. M wasn't just delivering the mail. He started delivering my personal mail, stuff like bills and packages, with this weird attention to detail. He'd bring the package to my door, ring the doorbell, and hand it to me with a smile. And it wasn't just that. He would linger after he handed it to me. It was like he was waiting for something. Now, some of you might think, okay, so he's just being friendly. But trust me, this wasn't friendly anymore. It escalated to the point where he'd ring the doorbell, even when it wasn't necessary. I wasn't expecting a signature or anything. It was just a small package. But he'd stand there, like he had all the time in the world, smiling at me. One time, he handed me a package and said, "You always look so put together, even when you're at home." I could never pull that off. What does that even mean? I didn't know how to respond. It felt uncomfortable, but I didn't want to make a scene. So I smiled, said thank you, and went back inside. But the next few times, it got worse. A couple of days later, I had a friend over. We were sitting on the porch, chatting, and enjoying the afternoon when I saw Mr. M pull up again. I waved, and he smiled, but instead of just delivering the mail and leaving like usual, he got out of his truck and walked straight over to us. He didn't even say hello first. He just looked at my friend and said, "Oh, having company today?" I felt my stomach drop. It wasn't just the words, it was how he said them. It felt like he was watching us, like he knew too much about my life. I could tell my friend felt uncomfortable too, because she shifted in her chair and gave me a weird look. That was the moment when I realized something wasn't right. My friend even leaned over and whispered, "Does he always act like that? It feels off." And it hit me. I wasn't just being paranoid. Other people could see it too. I couldn't ignore it anymore. I had to do something. I called the post office and reported his behavior. I told them about the lingering by the mailbox, the personal questions, the unnecessary doorbell ringing, and the feeling I got when I interacted with him. I told them I didn't feel safe with his behavior. The next day, my neighbor stopped me and said, "Did you hear? Mr. M might be reassigned. Someone complained about him." She was whispering it, almost like it was gossip, but I could tell she was defensive. "Can you believe it?" she asked, frowning. "He's the nicest mailman we've ever had. People are overreacting." Now, I felt guilty. Was I overreacting? Was I being too sensitive? I started doubting myself. Was I ruining his life over something that could be nothing? What if I made a huge mistake? But a few days later, another neighbor pulled me aside. He looked at me with a concerned face and said, "Hey, I don't want to make you feel bad, but I heard that someone else had complained about Mr. M too. They didn't say who, but I think you were right to report him." That's when the guilt started to lift. I wasn't the only one who felt uncomfortable. Other people had noticed it too. But here's the kicker. I still feel conflicted. What if I did overreact? What if I made a huge deal out of nothing? I can't stop thinking about it. So, am I the bleep bleep for reporting my mailman? Was I being too sensitive, or was I justified in my feelings? I need your thoughts. Was I right to report him? Am I just paranoid, or was there something off about his behavior? Please leave a comment below and let me know what you think. I genuinely want to hear your take on this.